Hello everyone. Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If you enjoy deep dive stories about your favorite stars, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and tap the join button to support the channel. Today we're unpacking a love story that slipped off the screen and into real life, Alina and Navruz. Beyond the glossy headlines, beyond the filtered photos, what actually happened, how did it start, and why has it resonated so strongly with fans across Turkey and abroad? Let's get into it. For a long time, the chatter around Alina and Alp lived in that gray area between wishful thinking and carefully curated coincidence. The pair were photographed at events, praised each other's performances, and occasionally shared the same soundtrack in their stories, posted hours apart. Those moments were soft, unlabeled, and, depending on who you asked, either purely friendly or quietly romantic. Then came a sunny afternoon that shifted the narrative for good. Without a press release, without a staged red carpet, the two posted, almost simultaneously, simple photos that said everything without saying anything: overlapping shadows on a cobblestone street, 2 takeaway coffees on a park bench, and a brief caption about choosing kindness every day. No tags. No grand declarations. Just tone. And tone travels. Within minutes, fan pages stitched the clues together. Hashtags surged. Timeline edits appeared with slow-motion clips, overlaid with lyrics that have soundtracked 1,000 on-screen romances. But this wasn't on-screen. It was a tiny window into everyday life: light, shadow, coffee. The absence of spectacle is exactly what made it feel real. The comments filled with the kind of messages that trend for a reason. People want to believe in a love that looks like unhurried afternoons and shared routines. Of course, in the age of microanalysis, any love story arrives with a chorus of skeptics and side narratives. The most persistent one involved Ayça, Alp's former partner. Whisper networks tried to turn her into a villain in a story that didn't have one. But the reality, from those who actually know her, was different. When friends around her spiraled into gossip, Ayça stopped them short. She made it clear she wasn't interested in fueling negativity about Alp or Alina. Was there a pang of jealousy at first? She's human, who wouldn't feel complicated emotion seeing an ex move on? Yet her consistent message was simple: let people be happy. In an industry that sometimes confuses volume with truth, her refusal to feed the rumor machine said more than 100 statements. That stance, in turn, toned down the rhetoric among fans. When the person with the most right to be bitter refuses to be, the room changes. Back to Alina and Alp. What makes their dynamic interesting isn't only the romance, it's the disciplined normality around it. They work. They rehearse. They show up on set prepared. And then, between those long hours, they manage to carve out tiny islands of privacy: a neighborhood walk where a quick wave replaces a selfie, a late dinner where the phones stay in pockets, a day trip where the only photo that makes it online is a blurred shot of the sea. That boundary didn't appear by accident. It's a shared choice, and you can feel it in the way their posts never quite give away the location, the way they write about gratitude but not about plans. Love, yes. Marketing, no. At the same time, their relationship has had a cultural ripple effect that goes beyond celebrity. Young fans talk about how the duo's public kindness lowers the temperature in comment sections. When an ugly rumor pops up, one of them will drop a measured message about empathy and move on. The result is subtle but real: a fan culture that, at least around these two, is trying to be a little gentler. That matters. Because digital spaces shape how we experience celebrities, and celebrities, in turn, can nudge digital spaces toward better habits. There's also the role model conversation. It's not about perfection, it's about pattern. You'll notice how often Alina and Alp credit the people around them: directors, crews, acting coaches. You'll notice how often they show up for charity events without turning the event into a personal brand moment. One memorable example: a low-key community reading hour at a library, where they blended into a group of volunteers and spent an afternoon lending their voices to children's stories. No step-and-repeat banners. No press pit. Just presence. Clip surfaced later, filmed by attendees, and they did more for the pair's image than any glossy campaign ever could. What about work? Whenever a real-life romance shadowboxes with a public career, managers and producers start to think in pairings, joint interviews, dual endorsements, surprise commercials built around coupledom. Offers have reportedly arrived, as they inevitably do. But the consistent word from close collaborators is that Alina and Alp aren't in a rush to turn their relationship into a permanent on-screen package. If a script demands it and the roles are worthy, they'll read it like professionals. If not, they're just as happy to let distance sharpen their individual craft. It's a stance that protects the relationship and the art at the same time. The Ayça chapter deserves a little more light, because it holds a quiet lesson. In the early days of the speculation, a few accounts tried to bait her into a soundbite. She declined, then posted a short note about the benefits of letting go and refusing to be the footnote in someone else's feud. That was it, no names, no barbs. The post got shared widely not because it was scandalous, but because it was grown up. You could almost feel follow-on ripples. People paused before tagging her under Alina and Alp's photos, and the narrative slowly shed its messy edges. A rare victory for restraint. For all the romance, there have been harder moments. Fame magnifies everything, a minor misunderstanding becomes a full-blown theory in hours. A late arrival at a premiere turns into a trouble in paradise headline. The couple's answer has been tactical silence, followed by tangible normality. Show up to work. Do the scene. Take the curtain call. Share a plain, uncaptioned photo of a book or a sunset. The oxygen disappears from the rumor, and the story moves on. That approach doesn't satisfy the part of the internet that feeds on shock, but it has proven durable. Then there's family. When a relationship gets serious, it meets the real world: parents, siblings, grandparents, Sunday lunches. The quiet consensus is that both families have met in small settings where the stakes were human rather than cinematic, dinners where recipes mattered more than headlines. One anecdote that circulated among friends tells of a grandmother insisting on sending them home with leftovers for the road, as if two of the most recognizable faces in the country couldn't cook their own pasta. That's the point: fame dissolves in the presence of giggling elders and plastic containers packed with homemade food. Culturally, the pairing has landed at a moment when younger audiences are rethinking what relationship goals should look like. Is it grand gestures and constant display, or steadiness and care? Alina and Alp seem to vote for steadiness. They don't scold fans for being curious, they simply offer a slower rhythm and invite people to accept it. That's a quietly radical act in a climate that rewards oversharing. It suggests a future where couples can be adored without being consumed. Let's not ignore the professional upside of finding emotional balance. When actors feel anchored, their work often deepens. Recent scenes, filmed separately in different projects, show both stars trusting silence more, pacing emotion with more precision, and making braver choices. That's not because they're in love, as if feelings were a cheat code. It's because life off-camera is steady enough to let them focus on the fine mechanics of their craft. And audiences, even if they don't know why, can sense it. There's also the community effect. Fan groups inspired by the couple have organized small kindness drives, book swaps, pet adoption days, school supply donations. None of these initiatives are official, and yet they echo the energy the couple projects. When your public image consistently communicates "do good, stay kind, keep your circle strong," people mirror it. That's the real power of influence, less about selling products, more about nudging behavior. So where does this go next? The engagement rumor will keep popping up each time a ring appears in a photo or a caption sounds a touch more poetic than usual. Maybe that milestone will come, maybe it won't. What's clear is that we're watching two people choose deliberateness over drama. The event loop, if you will, is simple. A public acknowledgement of love, a wave of attention, a brief swirl of jealousy rumors that even Ayça helps diffuse, and the settling of a relationship into something admirably ordinary for two very public people. That ordinariness, mutual respect, steady support, careful boundaries, has inspired many who are figuring out how to love well in a loud world. If you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. Do you prefer celebrity romances that live in constant spotlight, or ones that breathe in quieter spaces? Which interviews, scenes, or small moments convinced you that Alina and Alp's connection is the real thing? Drop your thoughts below, and let's keep the conversation thoughtful and kind. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a story told with care. You can also click join to help us keep bringing you respectful, in-depth coverage of the stars you love. Until next time, take good care. And remember, the best stories are often the ones lived gently.